and of course the grandstand behind the hyena not in the slightest affecting its behavior. Now, we may or may not have to leave here because Abel is coming through, and I think we may well have to pull out just so that we can make some space because we've been here for such a long time. We might come back a bit later, but maybe not. Alexandra, you're wondering about the evolutionary slope on the leopard's back and why it has it. What's the purpose behind it, I think? The purpose is twofold. One, for stamina. It's a very efficient way to move. You do have to sacrifice speed, however. The hyena's gone into the grass, I'm afraid. Well, you can sort of see it there. And Alexandra, the other reason is that the front provides a fulcrum. And the fulcrum provided by the hyena's front legs makes it apparently much more able to pull and break and sort of jerk things away because it's completely balanced around those front legs. Alright, everybody, we're going to have to move out of here. Abel. Sorry, everyone. Alright, let's head across to Ellie. She's going to give you an update as she marches down the road.
Again, seeing we are on a day where everything is almost themed to be yellow and brown and spotted, I just want to show you guys something quite interesting around here. Ooh, and now we've bumped into another kill site. You can see all around here, all of these feathers. You see, this is the way of the bush. I was completely looking at something else and now we've stumbled upon probably a dead bird. So all these feathers around here, I'm not too sure what they belong to. My guess would be from the tail of a cuckoo, but I could potentially be wrong. So all the feathers around here, I'm sure maybe he was caught by another bird of prey. Just walking all around here. Yeah, potentially an owl as well during the night. So it's not Xongile the only one that got lucky today. We've actually managed to stumble upon two very spectacular kills where all that we've got left is some of the feathers at the back. You see there's not any part of the body around here. There's no contents, there's no bones, nothing. So my guess is that whatever it is that it caught it, very likely an owl, it just came down, got this bird and then carried on flying and just consumed it somewhere else away from the ground where it's probably easier. So you see, not only Tingana and Mvula are the clever ones where they'll put the kills on top of the trees, but also birds will do it very often just because sometimes it's easier for them also to eat on top of the trees just to make sure that nothing else comes and gets it from them. But while we are here, let me just show you this beautiful plant that's around here, which is also very brightly colored, very yellow, doesn't have any leopard part in its name. This beautiful plant over here is called the peanut butter cassia. And what is interesting about this plant is that it's not supposed to be here. So this is actually a plant. I'm sure some of you have heard very big words like endemic and indigenous plants and alien plants and everything else. That just refers, in this case, alien plants or invasives to plants that are not supposed to be in a certain area or in a certain continent. They're supposed to be somewhere else. I believe this particular specimen should be found somewhere in India or around the sub-Indian continent, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely not here. So what happened with a lot of the plants and why this is such an important issue is that we're starting to see more and more of this plant all throughout the bush. So because it's an alien plant or it's a plant that doesn't really have any competition, not too many animals will come and feed off of it, it's got that edge because it's, you know, the different one. Nobody really knows what to do with it. Can we eat it? Can we not eat it? What's happening? And it's colonizing different areas. I don't know, Zenzo, if you can just show them around over here. We've got quite a few more. So clearly the birds are enjoying the seeds, and as they come and feed on the seeds and they defecate, they leave them to germinate in other places. So slowly but surely we're seeing a lot more of them all around, which is they're very similar to another species of tree that we get in South Africa that's called the long-tailed cassia, and some people know them as the shambok pod. But if you look closely, the leaves are quite different, the flowers are not quite it, but I'm sure both of them share a common ancestor way, 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 way back. So how did this plant get here? my best guess would be all of them, round about, let's put it in the 1800s perhaps, when all of the explorers started establishing all these commercial routes. Then as they traveled along the globe, they were taking things from one place to the other. And obviously back then science and conservation wasn't as strong as it is now. We didn't have the knowledge back then that we do now in terms of what happens when there's something here that shouldn't be here. And people just started taking things from one place to the other. Plants weren't the only things that were taking around. Rats also enjoyed going into islands where there never had been rats and then ended up eating a lot of things. Lots of plants started colonizing. Kakibos is another one that shouldn't be here, and little by little they've started taking over. The good thing is, though, that we are in a reserve that's very active about controlling this type of alien specimens that are around, and they just make sure that they start removing them, or at least there's a plan and scale to try and get rid of all these things that are not actually supposed to be here. Yes, they're very pretty, but they can be detrimental for the environment just because they bring a lot of things that just messes with the balance of what everything is. So we're gonna carry on down our path, see what else we can find, but I just want to show you something that I absolutely love. If you look all the way over there, I'm sure as far as the eye can see, that is Kruger National Park, all the way over there, and we can see all the way pretty much into Mozambique. Do I prefer, James, you'd like to know if I prefer bushwalks or drives? They are quite different experiences, the both of them. I'm not too sure. I think for now, just because I haven't been able to walk for such a long time, I prefer the bushwalks because you get more in tune with nature. You start hearing things, paying attention to other things that are not, you know, your daily routine. So that has been quite a good rediscovery for me. I absolutely love being out and about, and there's always that edge, like when you go around a corner, will there be a buffalo, an elephant, or, you know, like today we were following the tracks of Xongile and we came across a tiny little mongoose. So you really never know what you're gonna find. However, when you go on game drive, then you get the opportunity of getting so close to some of the biggest animals and very dangerous animals while you're on foot. So I think it depends on my mood. I can say for sure that today I have absolutely loved being on bushwalk, and I'm sure my boots agree with me. They haven't been walking for a while. Okay, while we carry on trying to go back because it's getting dark and we don't want to be caught up walking in the dark, let's go back to one of our favorite characters and let's see how she's up to. What she's up to, rather. I can't even speak.
Well, she is literally trying to get every iota of this terrapin down her gullet. So she has managed, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 bites left, and we're going to hang around, see if she tries to catch another one or if she starts to move. Now, I have been keeping an ear out on the Eastern Channel to see if her brother has made an appearance yet, and I haven't heard anything, so I'm just going to ask for an update now quickly. Shanae, has there been any update on Hosanna this afternoon? Confirm Hosanna or Tamba? Copy. You chased warthogs at just to the east of the little Gari sign this morning. Okay, so no sign of Hosanna. Tamba has been found on Chitwa, but it sounds like he's right in the Mwanini River, where unfortunately we don't have any signal. Xongile, there's not much left, my darling. So if some of you have just stumbled upon us and wondering what on earth is going on, well, what on earth is going on is that you're on a live African safari. My name is Brent Leo Smith. That's Xongile the Leopard. Batman's the cameraman. And if you want to ask me questions about what's happening here in the African bush, you are able to do so by using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. I would love to hear from you, and let us know if you're a new viewer as well. It would be great to see where you are in the world. So let us know if you're a new viewer, where you're watching, and where you're from. Okay, it seems like we're gonna sit right here. I think she might try hunt terrapins again just now. So while we wait for her to finish off the last of this terrapin, it seems like James has left Tingana and found something a great deal bigger and a great deal more grey.
We've got a beautiful herd of elephants just coming down towards Sydney's dam, which of course is north of where we're allowed to go. But as the sun sets sort of behind them, it's an enormous herd of about 25 animals, I think. And they're intermittently coming through the bush down to have a drink, and some of them then moving over the back of the dam wall. Now, elephants, of course, in the middle of the day, at least in the middle of the evening, coming down to drink, just a wonderful way to end a day, I think. Isn't that lovely? Now, probably 2 or 3 herds here that have joined together for whatever reason. Maybe they just sort of share some distant relations, and perhaps that sort of, I don't know, maybe it gives them confidence to be with each other. They remind each other of where all the good feeding spots are and where all the good watering spots are. Oh, that's a wonderful shot there. Just gorgeous stuff. Isn't that great? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in that little group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, I think we've probably got about 25 or so, plus minus. Tiny little thing in there, trying to have a drink. Now wanting to follow Big Brother down towards the big water to show how big he is. There he goes. Oh, this is great. Oh, and there's still more. I mean, I've been watching them coming across the road in front of us, and yeah, they just keep flowing. Now, if you are wondering why we don't go closer, it's not because elephants are dangerous, it's because they're on the reserve to the north of where we're allowed to go. And so that means that we cannot go any closer than we are now. But luckily we have a long lens on the end of this camera, and so we can still enjoy a wonderful sighting of them just before it gets dark. Now I'm going to put a question out to you, well, because you are the most important part of what we do, and therefore you must tell us what you want to do. Tingana, there's now more space opened up with him, so we can go back there. Otherwise, we can go and look for other things once these elephants have stopped drinking. I think we're going to sit with the elephants for a little while longer still, but then it's up to you as to where we go. Do we continue to look for, well, who knows what else? Otherwise, we can go straight back to Tingana. Let's head back to the elephants, Wiem, as you eat your narki. Wiem is now well into his second part of his picnic. Much, I think, watching Tingana eat, and then, of course, all of the elephants drinking has made him peckish. Not so, Wiem. Look at them all talking to each other. There'll be enormous amounts of conversation going on there. Little baby catching up with mum. And I really hope that one day we will fathom what it is that elephants say to each other. I do not believe that it is as basic as some researchers have made out, and that's simply a function not so much as of their ignorance, but a function of the fact that it's almost impossible to tell, of course, what they're saying to each other. But I think these animals are so complicated, so socially astute, and I'm sure that the conversations they have with each other are a lot more complicated than we think they are. They possibly don't discuss sort of, I don't know, quantum physics or the evolution by natural selection of species and that sort of thing, but I think the social interactions they have are tremendously complicated. Look, there's another huge herd coming across the road there. Go ahead. Okay, copy. I'll come back just now, thanks. They're just saying there's a space at Tingana. Huge herd. Another one of 15 or so coming across the road. And lots of little baby elephants. It's wonderful. You know, we haven't seen for quite a long time now is that short trunk elephant who lost a piece of the sort of bottom third of her trunk. And I don't know where she is at the moment, but you know, when you see a herd like that with lots of little ones, it's not impossible that she will join up with a herd similar, just for extra protection, especially as we head towards the dry season. Let me get out of the way. No one having a swim because the temperature isn't quite hot enough for swimming. Definitely hot enough for drinking. And they all seem, I think, to be drinking and then heading off towards the northwest. And into the Manuleti. Now, why they would be going into the Manuleti, I'm not really sure at this time of the year. The Gabbro Plains will be going to seed, pretty much. And that means that all the good grazing is around here right now. Maybe there are patches up on the hills of the Manuleti that are good for the elephants to feed on. Could well be, actually. There's some rocky outcrops there that they may well enjoy feeding on. Massive herd. Oh, it's wonderful. And that one, the new herd that's just come in, going completely the opposite direction. And I know you're all very happy to see the elephants, of course. Because, well, I think a Sunday evening with elephants is a very good way to have a Sunday evening. Now, Ashley, it's actually impossible to tell. It's possible to answer your question because this area is so vast. So we don't traverse all 3.5 million hectares or 8.5 million acres that form the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, because it extends into Zimbabwe and Mozambique and all the way to the northern border of South Africa and all the way south to Swaziland in the south. So it's very difficult to say how many families of elephants there are. Our area covers, what does it cover? It covers probably about a 1% of that vast piece of land. In fact, about 1% of that piece of land. And so on our area, the elephants come and they go, and it really does vary from time to time as to how many and who is here, because elephants are not territorial at all, which means that they move around. They'll go to different areas. And in the Kruger Park, probably about 15,000 elephants or so, we think. And how many families there are there, or herds, it's impossible to say. And you saw the tourists there a bit closer by, and that's because they have rights to travel there, which we do not, alas and alack. But there are other places we can go that they can't. And if you're wondering why this is the case, well, it is just because human beings are a lot more territorial than elephants. And that means that they're quite prickly about people going onto their land. Of course, the whole concept of being able to own land at all being brought into question by a number of people these days. But certainly it is the fashion in this area. Very nice, Vim. Shall we press back on? Yes, you've had enough, have you? That's VM nodding. Did you see him nodding, everybody? Now, you are going to tell me where we're going to go. Oh, and apparently we're really enjoying this, so we can definitely stay for a bit longer. VM, back to the elephants, please. Yes, John B., it would, absolutely. You say, would this be a bad place for a predator to show up? Elephants are completely intolerant of predators. I suspect that if a predator pitched up here, it would be chased mercilessly away, unless, of course, it was a saber-toothed tiger, in which case the elephants might run away. But I don't think saber-toothed tigers have been seen here for some time, and so it's very unlikely that lion, hyena, wild dog, or leopard will be tolerated in a place where there's so many little elephants, especially if we look off to the right-hand side there. There's a great line of very small ones moving off. That's it. Very pretty indeed. Lots of little ones. So that's a mum in front, possibly her two babies behind. Possibly one is a sort of niece or nephew. Now, I've been asked to link across to Ellie, because apparently she is also walking, and I was a little bit confused by that, and then I realized, of course, she is walking, as are the elephants.
So, as we start heading back, obviously after a bit of a walk, we've all gotten a bit hungry. So I just want to introduce you to this particular tree, which is very good for making salads. When we were doing our ranger training, often we would just, be slightly late or not eat or anything else. So you just come and you just grab a few of the branches, or another of the branches of the leaves, and then you eat them. They're quite dry, but if you eat a lot of them, then it'll make you full. What I want to show you guys about this tree is, I know a lot of the times we just walk past them or drive past them and we're not really interested, but this particular tree, it's called a buffalo thorn, and it's got a very, very important meaning in the Zulu culture, just in terms of what it represents and what you can do with it. Believe it or not, a lot of the times people think that this particular tree can host the spirit of someone very close to you that's unfortunately died. So what they do is, if a person passes away from home, just to put it mildly, they'll go and they'll take a piece of this branch. You see it's all zigzagged and ruggedy like this. They'll take a piece of that branch, take it to where the person unfortunately died, put it in their pocket, and then head all the way back to where they came from. And the idea behind this is to take the spirit of that person that goes and inhabits the branches of the tree and take them back home with them. So on the way back, should they have to buy, a taxi fare or food or anything, then they will buy for two, because it'll be one for the person that's carrying the branch and the second one for the branch that is in there, or the spirit that's in the branch, if I must say. Sorry, I got distracted with some impala alarm calling. But what is wonderful about this tree, and I'm always looking for a meaning behind things or this kind of stuff, because there's always some mystic to the trees and everything else. If you look at the shape of the tree, and this is why I'd say it's quite a good one, especially if you're feeling like you need some self-reflection, as the break of day can give you. So the branches are not straight. And according to, I believe it was Desmond Tutu who's used this metaphor before, this is a very good tree to see what life actually represents. Because you'll see the way, or your way, will never be straight, but it will always carry on going forward. And as you go through life, you will have things pointing you forward, but at the same time, you will have other things holding your back, your past, and where you come from. Little branches over there. How amazing is that for the significance and the importance of this tree? I absolutely love it. And while we're feeling, all connected with the possibilities of what might be and what else could be, let's go back to Brent and see what little Xongile is up to.
She's on the move again, in search of another terrapin, or if preferably a baby duckling. Well, that's terrible English again. A baby duckling, a duckling, or a baby duck. It can't be a baby duckling. Talking nonsense I am, but we can just see them there. And they're managing to keep far away from a little Xongile. There we go. They're the baby white-faced whistling ducks. Now she's just moved behind this little patch here. Look at that, you can see the white from behind her ears sticking through quite clearly. And she's looking alert again. Maybe she's about to leap on another terrapin. We don't want to move now. We don't want to disturb at all. No, it looks like she's lost interest in whatever she was incredibly focused on. What are you doing, little one? Oh, she's just slowly smelling, and she's just going very, very slowly and carefully around the edge of the pan. It looks like she's about to start moving again. She's definitely still hungry. And so I'm just there we go, she's on the move again. So that's what we've been waiting for. She's just moving slowly around the edge, keeping a lookout for any potential prey. You can see how well that camouflage works. She just melts into the grass. See how she approaches so carefully to the little spots where she's got a chance of catching a terrapin unawares. Now she'll sit and watch. Just looking for any sign of movement on the edge of the water. Anything within her grasp. Oh, biting flies. So that late rain has been quite a saviour for her, filling up all the pans with terrapins. Otherwise she'd probably find it a lot more difficult to find a meal. Hi Michelle in Canada. Michelle is wondering, do leopards like water? They don't, Michelle. If they can avoid getting wet, they will. Now, it is very area specific rather than species specific. Oh, sorry, area specific rather than leopard individual specific. And areas like the Okavango Delta and the Congo Basin rainforests and other parts of Africa, Basanga Plains, the leopards will actually swim regularly. And they have to cross water to get to food. In an area like this, if they can avoid crossing or swimming in water, they will. Of course, like most animals out here, they can swim. They just don't like it very much. And of course, there's always the risk of crocodiles in any little patch of water in the wilder parts of Africa. Look at that focus. Occasional leg shake. Oh, it looked like she was about to jump. And I think she's seen something. She just moved, and she's locked on to something on the edge. Let's give her a few more seconds. Nope, doesn't look like anything's going to happen. So we're going to stick with her, but it is getting to that time of the day when bushwalk needs to start getting home. So let's go say goodbye to Ali.
It is unfortunately that time of the day when the light is just going down, the moon is already starting to come up, and it's just not that safe for us to be up and about wandering around with all of the wildlife. So I just want to say goodbye to all of you, and thanks for coming along on this bushwalk this afternoon. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. And then I'm sure Senza sends his regards as well. And thank you everyone for everything and for watching along, for all the comments and all the questions. And we're just going to leave you guys with a beautiful view of the moon that's just starting to hide all the way over there. Quite a gloomy moon. I'm sure we're heading into full moon in the next little bit, if I am not mistaken. But always a wonderful way of ending your week and just getting recharged for what lays ahead. Alright, goodbye everybody, and we'll see you on the next safari. Bye bye.
Look at this, she's right next to us. She's checking every little spot for a possible terrapin. There's a little sort of undercut in the bank there, right next to us over there. And she's just making sure that there's no terrapin hiding in it. Unfortunately, it looks like there isn't one. But she's just going so carefully. She'd be, if she has 4 to 5 terrapins a day, that'd be a reasonably good meal. A lot of work to get to the meat, but it would definitely keep her going. Now, you can see how relaxed she is with us. I mean, she's right next to the vehicle. She's not showing any sign of being worried about our presence. Jimmy would like to know, do I think Xongile associates the vehicles with Karula? No, I don't. Not at all. I mean, the amount of time she spent with Karula without vehicles around far exceeds the amount of time she did with. So I don't think she at all associates the vehicles with her mom. What have you heard? She's heard something. I heard a splash as well. Oh, and off she goes. Where are you going, little madam? Don't go south. Stay with us in the north, please. Yes. So she's right there, but she's stopped and she's heading towards the south. That's not good news for us. So I'm pretty sure she's probably going to cross out of our traverse area, but we'll stay with her as long as we can. I'm just going to let the guys in the east know quickly. Any stations in the east, copy? She's still on our side, yay! There's another little pan, a much smaller one, which I earlier said she should probably focus on, because I did see some terrapin movement in it, and it's shallower and smaller, so she might have a better chance. But she doesn't look like she's listening to me. It looks like she's going to head across. Let me just get ahead of her quickly. So she's moving between the different pan systems looking for terrapins. So there's another 2 pans, and then below here I know there's another set of big pans, and I think she's just moving between all these pans hunting terrapins. Hello, little Xongile. Are you going visiting the south now? Any station in the east, copy? I think everyone's having their drink stops. Well, hopefully she might just walk down the road. Xongile, Karula's Mompimpanwansati is crossing at Baboon Pan to the south. Okay. Let's see if we can get one last view of her before she disappears into the longer grass. So there she goes, heading down toward the next set of pans. We wish her good luck in her terrapin hunting. And Oh, wait. No, there she goes. I was hoping she might have just changed her mind at the last second. Turn around. Alas, not to be. So let's go back to the highly entertaining James Henry and the big dominant male leopard of Djuma, Tingana.
Yes, we've come back, and you have come back to us at the perfect time, because he stood up and will now lie down. He's finished eating the ribs, we think, of the vast impala carcass that is hanging in the tree above him. And we're going to sit here with him because we have our infrared lights, of course, so we don't have to blind him with a spotlight, which will be very nice. And we'll see what he does. Now, we have been talking quite extensively about Mvula and what Mvula's doing here these days, and why is he here, and what's he doing, and how do their territories overlap or don't they? And I've just been reading while I was waiting, or while you were watching Xongile. In much of northern Namibia, which of course is much drier than this, it doesn't have anything like the same number of prey species, and nor does it have nearly the density of leopards. But there, male territories can overlap by as much as 65%, and females by about 35%. I will, of course, forget that by 10 minutes' time, so I just thought I'd better tell it to you before I forgot it. You know what? We're going to have a picture of this leopard with the moon in the background. I think it's going to be quite nice. I'm just going to wait for these chaps to pull out. And that's interesting, because of what it means, of course, is that perhaps they are slightly more tolerant of each other than we think they are. Not in terms of being around each other or tolerating each other's presence so much as being so good at avoiding each other that they can live in slightly overlapping territories. And I wonder if that's not exactly how old Mvula has managed to survive as he has for the last little while. So because the territories here are much smaller than they are in northern Namibia, because there's so much more for them to eat, I imagine that there must still be some overlap. Wumpi, what do you think about the moon behind this leopard? Let's just say to you, everybody, that Wiem sang a song on our way here from the elephant sighting. Wiem, what was it called?
Infrared light.
It was called Infrared Light, that's right. It was a sort of an ode to the infrared light. I'm not going to say that it was out of the sort of... it didn't sort of fall from the quill of Mozart, but I mean, it was quite interesting. What do you think? We're not... that moon's in the wrong place, isn't it? Unless I just mow down all these trees. But I don't think I will. There's the moon. Let's go straight forward anyway so we can see his face. That's a pity. That would have made many peaceful screenshots. Now, there are two wonderful things to say about the next question. In fact, I'm not going to go in here. The first is from Ben, and he's aged 8. And, well, in fact, there are two people asking the same question. And the second person is Tesla, who is aged 6. What a wonderful name Tesla is. Ben, you've also got a nice name, but Tesla's a great name, of course. And you want to know why a leopard has got spots. Well, a leopard has got spots because it helps the leopard to hide. It's called camouflage. Can you say that word? Camouflage? Well, it helps them to hide when they're trying to stay away from the animals, or trying to hide from the animals like this impala that they are trying to hunt and kill. There's the hyena, it's back again. Can you see the leopard from here, Wim? Or is that hopeless? It's not the best, is it? There you go. That's not the best either, is it? Just move slightly forward. There we go. At least you can see his face there. That's interesting. Now, what would have caused that? Well, probably a fight. Almost certainly a fight with another hyena, or perhaps a lion or a leopard from whom it was trying to steal. And look at the claw marks in the tree there that you can see. That's from sharpening claws. Look at that slice. And I must tell you, in India we found a tree that a tiger had had a go at, like that. And it looked like the Wolverine had been through there. I don't know if you've seen that slightly ridiculous series of films, but I mean, it had cut probably, I don't know, 3 centimeters into the wood and made 4 very neat, deep incisions. It was most impressive, and indeed made me slightly more respectful and wary of the great tiger, Panthera tigris. Patience, as I was saying, is the name of the game out here. If you want to survive in the wilderness, you must be patient. Impulsive behavior out here almost always results in some form of injury, which will then result in death. And these cats are ultimately patient. Well, in Cedar Point, you're saying, how long will that hyena wait before it gives up? Cedar Point, that hyena will probably wait until this kill is gone. And so we'll probably, I don't know, that impala will probably be either dropped on the ground or left hanging with his absence, probably, I would say, until by tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be gone. And if it's still hanging here and he's not in here, then the hyenas will leave. But they know that he will drop something on them at some stage. And Jedi, are you wondering if hyenas can climb trees? They cannot climb trees, Jedi. If they could, they would be up there like a shot. There'd be no reason for them to stay on the ground. A leopard will not take a risk to fight a hyena over food, but they can't take a risk because they're solitary, which means they will become injured. Or they can't afford to become injured because then they will really struggle to hunt. Whereas hyenas can take that risk, so there's no reason that a hyena wouldn't, if it could, go up there and steal all of the impala. And they're not known for their desire to share. I'm just waiting for this other vehicle to move out of the sighting, and then we'll get you into a slightly better position. I believe old Xongile has headed south, which is very, very selfish and nasty of her, especially as I haven't seen her for so long. Maybe she'll come back during the course of the evening, but Brent will tell us a little bit more about that and what his plans from here are.
Well, alas, she has headed to the south, so hopefully as she departs, her brother comes back. So we're making our way towards that area where he chased warthogs this morning, hoping that he might be on his way back to the north. So we're going to check the mud wallows around Shabam Road. If we have no luck there, we might take a gander down towards the hyena den, see if anything's happening there. I wonder if those hyenas have moved the den. It's possible she might have moved them, but we'll have a look. I know Xongile was there. Who knows, maybe she was eyeing a hyena cub for breakfast. She is that hungry. Normally leopards wouldn't eat hyena cubs, they would kill them, but I think with as hungry as she is at the moment, she might consider it. So that's where Hasana ran across after the warthogs, and we saw where his tracks came in, but those were from when Tristan found them this morning. Those were... that's me walking up and down, checking tracks. Let's have a look behind us. He's not hiding there. He's not hiding there. Well, let's hope he's managed to sneak in towards the little water holes. And we'll check down towards Treehouse and then to the Hyena den, see if there's any activity. And this is one of his favourite spots. I'm hoping the luck that worked with Xongile. This is one of Xongile, and there she was. Now let's see if that works here. This is one of Hasana's favourite spots. But he's not here right now. Now remember, if you want to ask us any questions, use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. We would love to hear from you. Well, I search for a spotted cat or a spotted hyena day. Let's go back to the cat in the hat with James.
Well, there's nothing much in the hattish about this cat. Of course, he's sleeping on a tree. We have gone into the infrared mode, which is why he's looking a bit green. Don't worry, you have not got jaundice. You are not suddenly seeing through the eyes of envy, perhaps, that you are not out here, but where you happen to be watching us. So that is why it is a little bit greeny. And it's because the light has dropped, and I don't want to put a spotlight on him. If we can avoid putting bright white light on these animals, then it's always a nice thing to do. And so that's what we're going to do. I think we'll sit with him for the next little while and see what happens. And let's have a little listen to the sounds of the night. Right, so what we can hear vaguely in the distance, a red-crested korhaan. Wonderful sound. One or two babblers down towards the valley. I mean, valley is a strong term, just the dip where this little stream is running through. And James, yes, absolutely, the sense of smell around here changes dramatically during the course of the seasons. So in summertime that we've just come out of, you can smell the moisture on the grass, you can smell the odd sort of touch of flowers around the place, but it feels in many areas quite dank. It's a lovely sort of rich earthy smell that you get in the middle of the summer, and obviously there's a lot more noise than you can hear right now. Now it's got very quiet indeed. But then come the winter time, the smell is very much one of dust. You can smell straw, especially if you're off-road like we are, in amongst the long grass as it goes from green to sort of yellowish to brown and then to copper and then to grey. And it's got a lovely sort of straw-like smell. And then the leaf litter underneath the grass changes, because all of these combretum trees and the marula trees and the jackalberry trees and the silver cluster leaves and all of the other trees or all of the other deciduous trees will drop their leaves, and those then will turn brown, and in so doing they form a sort of vast bowl of mild smelling potpourri, if you like. So there's always a delicious smell of that during the winter time. So yes, it varies substantially between the summer and the winter time, and spring and autumn somewhere in between those two. There, Tingana has managed to stand up, which is wonderful. I wonder what he's oh, I think he's probably looking at the hyenas. I think that's exactly what he's having a look at. And so he should be. I'm sorry we're not the other side of him, but I think it's worth staying here just to see what he does. Now, Johan, you want to know how many sort of vocalizations an animal like this is able to make. So, how many different sounds can he make? Well, not very many. He has a limited array of sounds to make, most of them fairly harsh and guttural, and indeed blood-chilling. That's, if you were to listen to him for too long. He makes a sawing roar, which is his territorial call. Sounds a little bit like that. I'm obviously not going to do it too loudly with him staring straight at me. And then he can make a growl, which is a very sort of low, rumbling sound, and it's also very blood-curdling. And then I suppose he could make a slight squealing sound if he wanted to, but it's not a commonly heard noise with leopards. What happens is with their voice boxes are like ours, but they are suspended by a sort of apparatus. It's an apparatus called a hyoid apparatus or suspensorium, and what it does is it holds the vocal box in place, but it's not ossified, it's not bony like ours. So the voice box shudders in its place. Oh, he's coming down. And that means that the sound is much louder and much harsher than it is in some of the other cats. This is fantastic. He's only, 8 meters from us? It's going to be a little bit quiet, so that you can appreciate the feeling that I'm feeling right now. Now, I'm half looking at him and half at the screen, because he's almost in the dark now. And I think he's come out of the tree because it's night time now. The hyena's advantage has disappeared slightly because he is now able to hide much more easily. Now, I said he wouldn't leave this kill until he'd finished it, but maybe I'm wrong. And he could also be thinking about going to try and get some water. We'll try and follow him. We might have to swap from the infrared light, but for now we won't. We'll stay in this light. It's going to be difficult to follow him through there. So while we try and do that, let's head across to Brent and find out what he's trying to see with his spotlight.
Well, no sign of Hyena crossing, so maybe tomorrow morning, fingers crossed. So we're slowly heading our way towards the hyena den, see if there's anything happening there. Always keeping an eye out for bush babies and chameleons and other wonderful little creatures of the night. Wouldn't mind seeing a nice Genet sighting tonight. Hi, H. Macy. H. Macy's wondering, do hyenas ever hunt or do they just scavenge? Hyenas are very effective hunters. They actually have a higher success rate than lions and leopards when they decide to hunt. But they're smart enough to think a free meal is better than one you got to work for. So they do most certainly hunt. Sorry, that was interesting. An eye in the grass. Let's just have a closer look quickly. Something small. Oh, it just moved a little bit. What was it? Where did it go is the next question. I think it was a genet. They are incredibly difficult sometimes to see nicely. Oh no, false alarm. It was a scrub hare who has now turned his back to us. Oh, I almost forgot. I don't know. And see, you just see its ears there, Shane. We're not going to disturb it in the long grass. I almost forgot. I don't know if who was with me, Tristan and Ali and Alice. So on our way home, not last night, the night before, we found in the driveway at Inga's a scrub hare nursing two tiny little little baby hares. It was very, very cute. Maybe if we have no luck at the hind end, I'll go check around there to see if we can find those baby hares. And who knows, maybe they'll be nursing again. It was very, very cute. Now I was asking a quick. Oh, hyenas hunting. Yes, there we go. And I've actually seen hyenas hunt hippo. A clan of 20 odd hyenas, or there's more than 20 in the clan, but 20 of them together took down an adult hippo. So they are indeed capable of hunting, and they're very good hunters. And I mean, you never really see a skinny hyena around here. They always seem to be exceedingly well fed. This is a good little run area for bush babies. And owls, strangely enough. I see owls in this area quite often. It is a wonderful, wonderful temperature at the moment. I'd guess it's around 25, 26 degrees Celsius, and apparently it's 28. It doesn't feel like 28, but it feels much cooler. Maybe it's just because the evening air is settling in, but it's almost the perfect temperature for me at the moment. Not too hot, not too cold. No sign of any bush babies. Where are you hiding? But it's been a very productive Sunday, and with 3 different leopards seen: Hyena, Xongile, and of course Mr. Tingana. I'm sure Mvula would have just scampered off at speed to the north to avoid the beastly figure of Tingana as he strode down. You'd probably find Mvula moved off before Tingana got there. Because when he's on those missions, and he's been on proper missions recently, walking and sawing, and I think the closer he would have got, the more nervous Mvula would have got. But it sounds like Tingana, oh, James is right, Tingana has found himself a watering hole.
He has found himself, yes, a little puddle. I think that waterhole is a very strong term for what it is, but it's a very nice little puddle. And we talk about the fact that leopards, or nearly said elephants, are independent of water, which of course they are. But when they can drink, goodness gracious, they do spend a lot of time slurping up muddy water. He knew exactly where he was coming, so he obviously knows exactly where all the water is in his territory. And I mean, this water has had all manner of things come through here, lie in it, and, well, put their dung in it and do all sorts of terrible things to it that would render it completely undrinkable for you and I. But for a leopard, no. They are more than happy to drink this kind of water. And it just goes on and on and on. And isn't this infrared light astounding? I can't actually see him. I can just make out 1 or 2 spots of white. So otherwise he's completely in the dark. Nice there that you can also see the 5 spots that he has. Just keep quiet, it might be a hyena that's coming. No. So can we go back to his muzzle there, Vumpy, if you don't mind? And there you can see the 5 spots. He's a 5'5" male, and that's the 5 spots on the right hand side. Does anybody else have any obvious identifying features for him, because I don't know of any very clear or obvious spot patterns that differentiate him. Obviously all of his spots are different from every single other leopard, but that 5-5 for me is the sort of obvious way to tell who he is, other than the general feeling you get when you look at him. I mean, you can tell if you've seen this leopard a lot of times that this is who it is. Oh, this is exciting. Brent's managed to find the hyena cubs.
Well, the only reason we can sit here is because of the joy of infrared. So our lights are off, and there's trouble 1 and trouble 2 in the entrance. Hello, nonsense. I haven't seen Mom, but as soon as I spotted them, I turned my spotlights off, so she could still be around. I don't. Maybe not the fact that they're sitting right in the entrance to the den. And they won't want to wander too far while Mom's away. Now, of course, they might have had quite a stressful morning. You never know if Xongile tried to catch one of them. Now, she definitely would kill one if she came across them without the Mom around. And little hyenas do explore when Mom's away around the den. They don't go too far. Look at them putting their nose up, sniffing all the exciting smells that are outside. Hey, yo, you're so fluffy. They are very cute at this age. Where are you off to, Trouble? Don't wander too far from the mouth of the den. Just sniffy sniffy from there. Now it is I cannot see them without looking at the monitor. They are completely invisible to me. And that is the joy of this infrared rig. It does enable us to see into some of the areas of animal behavior in the past we haven't been able to get into. Looks like that one's found a nice root to chew on at the entrance. They do look mischievous, don't they? Like they know they're being naughty, but they can't help themselves. Just check to the left a little bit for me, please, Craig. I think I heard something. Maybe Mom is here. Just a little bit to the left through there. I thought I heard something. No, might have been my imagination. So the reason I say Mom isn't here is that just judging from their behavior, how they don't want to wander far from the entrance of the den. Now, of course, as they get older, they get braver, and they will move further and further, even if Mom is not here. But while at this age and Mom's away, they will stay very close to the safety of the den, and they can bolt down there at the first sign of potential danger. Bobby's wondering, is it a possibility that they would get used to the vehicle and start coming up to it? They do already, Bobby. And especially if the Mom's around, they'll come very close to the vehicle. We've had them less than 10 centimeters from the vehicle already. So that they're already being acclimatized and becoming habituated to the vehicles. So in a hyena den, where the hyenas were not used to or habituated to vehicles, as we drove up here, both of those little ones would be very deep in the ground. They would have run away immediately. or run into the den immediately, and if they felt there was any danger. So a lot of their behavior around vehicles comes from how their mothers behave around vehicles. So they are nice and relaxed. Hey, little troubles. Now, I'm not going to spend any more time here. We've had such a lovely little sighting. Mom's not here, and so we'll keep moving on, seeing what else we can find. But while we do that, we'll leave Trouble 1 and Trouble 2 and go to a slightly less active Tingana.
Well, he's completely inactive. He's gone to sleep. And I'm quite pleased by that. I'll tell you why. I'm pleased because he's gone to sleep away from the tree in the dark. And, you know, we spoke quite extensively at the beginning of the drive of the fact that he was in the trees because of the hyenas and because he felt vulnerable because of them. And I think that is absolutely true. Now that the hyenas have gone and they've wandered off into the night, I'm sure they'll be back, and they'll probably go back there and wait underneath the tree for a little bit longer. But he's taken the opportunity to move away, and because it's now night time, he's just that much less vulnerable, and so he can have a proper rest on the ground. But if you watch his face, and this is the thing with these cats, I suspect you'll see his eyes flick open just every so often. There we go. And then they close again. Oh. And so a leopard like this never, ever sleeps completely. They will always be on the verge of being able to snap up awake. And that is much the same with many, many of the animals out here. Now, Deborah, Armchair Traveller, you say that he's got a diagonal line of spots across his head. Now, naturally, of course, he's put his head down, so we can't see that. So thank you very much for that. And then a lot of you, including VM, have pointed out that he has got a smiley face, apparently, in spots on his left shoulder. And for this angle, I can't see it, but I'm sure it is there. Can you see it there, VM? No. I'm really bad at doing these sort of spotting things. It took me ages to see Karula's wow. Somebody actually had to send me a screenshot with it drawn in before I saw it. Anyway, I guess that's also quite distinctive, that sort of necklacey thing there. So I think we're going to sit here for another 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're going to press on and make our way back home. Now, Colin, you're 9 years old, and obviously you are a very astute young fellow. You say, how many leopards are there left in the whole world? Colin, we don't know, but we think that their numbers are getting smaller and smaller. And I'll tell you why we don't know. We don't know because they are large parts of the world in which we've never counted them. So if you go to parts of Africa where it's very difficult to do research, we don't know how many leopards there are there. If you go to parts of, the Far East, perhaps even into places like sort of northern China, parts of Russia, North Korea, it's very difficult to tell how many leopards there are there. Doing research is very difficult, because the political situation is difficult, and also because the areas are so very big and there are so few people living in some of those areas. So it's very difficult to say how many. We do think, however, that their numbers are declining. And declining, Colin, means going down. And that's because, basically, the more people you have, the less space there is for animals. And although a leopard, out of all the cats in the world, is able to live the best near and around people, and there are parts of India where they live in villages, and they just hide sort of in the shade during the day, and they come out at night and they catch pigs and every so often a dog or two, and they can live quite comfortably like that. But those opportunities are getting smaller and smaller for leopards, and as more and more people are born and building and sort of becoming urbanized or living in cities, so it becomes more difficult for these leopards. and so their numbers are going down. We don't know how many there are in the world, though, because they're so very secretive. They're not like lions, you know, where if you've got a lion living in your village, it's very difficult for that lion to hide. You will know about it very quickly. It will leave very obvious lion footprints, and then they will call trackers in to get it. Because, well, it's very difficult to live in a village with a lion. Same with a tiger. We know how many tigers there are in the world. There are probably about, depends on which subspecies you look at, but the Bengal tiger of India, about 2,500 left of them, we think. Far fewer of all the other tiger subspecies. Lions, we know, probably fewer than 20,000 left. In fact, definitely fewer. I think probably closer to 15,000 left, so they're also struggling. But leopards, we don't really know. It's a very good question, Colin. Thank you. Alright, Vumpy, shall we press on home? I think that's what we're going to do. This feels like the right time to be leaving our leopard friend, having his little snooze there. So I think what we're going to do is head gently home and see if we can't find a creature of the night. And while we do that, Brent Leo Smith, of course, is scouring the night with his very large peepers.
Scouring with very little success so far, but scour on I shall. Now, I was really hoping, I think the grasses are still a little bit long, but I was hoping for a white-tailed mongoose out here. Manny Marie's wondering how far can bush babies jump. They can jump about probably 5 or 6 meters in a single leap if they have to. Yeah, 5 meters easily. What's that? It's over 10 feet, 12 feet, 14 feet, somewhere there. Oh, come on, white-tailed mongoose. Now those hyena cubs are going to be around the den for quite some time now, which is wonderful. And the interesting thing about hyena cubs around a den is certain, or how long they stay at the den, very much depends on who their mother is. So the higher ranking female hyenas, their cubs will stay at the den sometimes till they're well over a year old. The low ranking females will actually take their cubs out foraging from sometimes as young as 5 months old. Now the reason for this is because of the social hierarchy of the hyenas. The high ranking females will bring kills back to the den and their cubs will be able to feed. Those low ranking females' cubs will not get a chance to feed at the den if there's multiple sets of cubs at the den. So they will then, to ensure that their cubs have a very good chance of survival, they will... Was that a bush baby in the tree up there? No. They will then take the cubs out from a much younger age out foraging. Now, it does give them a better chance of survival in terms of availability to food, but it also very much puts them at risk to especially death by lion. And lion, a lot of the time when you find a hyena that's been killed by a lion, it's generally a youngish one, sort of below 8 months, and it's often those cubs of low-ranking females that have been forced to go out and forage with the adults. Sorry, there's just lots of impala and wildebeest, so light in the sky. So I just want to go have a look around the pan in case we spot that white-tailed mongoose around there. They did have a hole that they used to stay in just below Gallagher Camp for a while, so I'm hoping they might be out. So it's getting darker earlier now, so there's a good chance some of the smaller nocturnal predators and omnivores might be out already. Oh, impala everywhere. Sorry guys, coming through. Don't want to blind you. Okay, there we go. Now let's have a look for that. And the grass is also a little bit shorter here, so I might get a chance of seeing something small scuttling in the grass. So we're just going to have a quick look over the short grass. Come on, Batman, we're feeling lucky. Apparently not. We have a monosyllabic well, I'll take it as luck, and luck. Not so lucky. No, not so lucky. There's nothing there. Just lots and lots of impalas. Hi, Andre. Andre is wondering how different the vegetation is going to be in May, depending on the short grass, long grass. Well, Andre, what month are we now? April, May. It will be still quite long, but it'll be a lot less green, and there will be patches that now, as we move through different times, that the different animals graze on. Oh man, no white-tailed mongoose. This is where they were, but the grass is still quite long up here. But so, Andrea, it'll be a bit shorter, but the most bug to the eye. The most noticeable thing is that it's going to be a lot drier. Well, that was a good one. Oh, and it was a stink bug. Sis, man. Foof. Okay, so no luck here. I'm going to go see if we can find those baby scrub hares next to Inga's. Okay, well, let's rush off to Inga's. Hopefully those baby scrub hares are still around. They won't move too far, so during the day, Mom won't actually sleep with them. She'll be close to them, but she'll leave them hidden, generally in a tussock of grass or under a bush, where they are less likely to be found by predators, specifically the diurnal predators that pose the biggest threat to scrub hares. Of course, your predatory birds, martial eagles, tawny eagles, African hawk eagles, and the such. They are probably the biggest threat to those little scrub hares. At night, there are less threats in terms of from the air. It's just really Verreaux's eagle owl, giant eagle owl, and spotted eagle owl that are probably big enough to catch them. But of course, nighttime comes with a whole host of different threats, such as leopards and lions, who are opportunists. So like any other predator, even if it's just a mouthful, if it runs in front of them, they will try catch it. Oh, we're going back through the impala and wildebeest. So we're nearly at the end of show, so I'm just rushing quickly to try see if we can find those baby scrub hare. Oof, all the dust from the wildebeest running around chasing each other. Okay. Oh, sorry, GNU. There we go. Now I've got through the plethora of animals that are out on the open areas between the pan and quarantine. Let's check the scrub hare zone. More wildebeest. This is where she was last night, in this area. Oh, it's a Genet, it's a Genet. Yay, I really wanted to see a Genet. I really wanted to see a Genet tonight. Sorry, Impala. You see the Genet? Okay, a little bit up. There we go. Center frame, zoom a bit. You see that? You see that beautiful little face sticking through the grass? Now, this is something that would make short work of a baby scrub hare. So even though they are quite small, they are ferocious little predators. Come on. Show us yourself a bit better, please. We have only 60 seconds to go. Let me just try and move a little bit. Oh. It's moving towards the termite mound, Craig. Let me just reposition slightly. I really wanted to see one tonight. I even said that earlier. I think this could be Genevieve, who comes to visit us at Inga's from time to time. She's quite relaxed. There she goes. You can see that wonderful coloration, and I do realize we're coming right to the end of the safari, but what a wonderful way to end with one of the little spotted predators we don't see too often, the large spotted genet. And I would like to think that's Genevieve the Genet, who comes to visit us at Inga's sometime. So from Batman, myself, James and Vim, and the rest of the Safari Live crew, see you bright and early in the morning.